and welcome to this week's LexisClick growth journey. Today we're going to be speaking a little bit about the importance of social selling, and particularly LinkedIn. I went on a LinkedIn training session this week and I realised that we're not using LinkedIn as well as we could be, and it really helped me reflect on customers that we've been speaking to recently, many of whom are shying away from using social media, and I think that's often down to a lack of understanding and a lack of appreciation of the power of social media. It's a huge power of social media, and we really recommend, particularly in the B2B environment, that businesses get onto LinkedIn, understand it, and make the most of it for their business growth. It's a huge opportunity. Chris is going to speak a little bit about social selling, what it means to him. He used to be a social selling advocate at SAP, so he'll just quickly go through that, and then we'll cut to an interview that I ran earlier this week with Andy Gwynn, a leading UK LinkedIn trainer. So Chris, over to you.
So I want to give you an example about social selling done really badly. There was a company who I wanted to potentially buy something from, and the guy called me up to arrange a meeting. Before I had the meeting with him, I did some research on who this person was and I looked him up on LinkedIn, and he didn't have a LinkedIn profile. And I was that close to cancelling the meeting because I just thought, as a salesperson, you need to build up a level of trust with me before I want to buy anything from you. And the fact you didn't have a LinkedIn profile made me think that you had something to hide. You know, he was a relatively young guy. He was in a sales role. He should have had a LinkedIn profile, and he almost didn't get the meeting. And I think it's suicide as a salesperson, or anyone that wants to interact with any other businesses. You need to be thinking about the research that they're doing on you as an individual and what they're going to think about you before they even meet you.
Yeah, really important. We're going to cut now to Andy Gwynn. He's going to re-emphasise some of those points and go into a little bit more depth on those, and we'll be back with you shortly.
So I'm here today with Andy Gwynn, a professional LinkedIn trainer. Just attended a workshop of Andy's, which is fantastic. I already knew quite a bit about LinkedIn and it's really opened my eyes. So thank you very much, Andy. I just wanted to ask you a few questions about, from your perspective, obviously having trained so many different businesses, why LinkedIn is such a critical tool for businesses who are looking to grow.
That's a great question. Where do we start? I think, first of all, it's a B2B and business to business, business to professional tool. And I was just saying to Jackie, I think what we're seeing is because people know that it's there, more and more people are now on it, and more people are realising they should be engaging with it but don't really know what to do.
Yeah.
And because there's no real rules, because of the way that it's morphed over 15 years, and so what we do see is a higher rate of engagement than in email at times, for example. Because if you think about it, if you've gone to the time and effort to populate a profile, and so have I asked to connect with you, there's a commonality, and you know business and sales is all about engagement and commonality. So it's not an old boys club, but it's a commonality. In the same way you'd probably, if you were at a golf club, you'd talk to someone else about golf. Or people, if I connect with you on LinkedIn, you're more likely to engage because you've gone to the effort to create a profile.
Yeah, and one of the things I find as well is because you've got that detailed explanation of who that person is, who's just connected with you, they don't need to explain that, you can read it really quickly. I find that really helpful, and actually that increases the likelihood in many cases that I'll connect back with them because I can check them out and it's on my own terms.
You would hope so. You're a rarity.
Maybe.
I still believe in the 80-20 rule, and I think more and more people, that's why this room was full, and that's why my business is all about helping people globally around LinkedIn, because there is so much demand and desire for people to understand how they can get the best out of it because they know it's there. The reality is still so few people know how to engage properly. I had someone the other day, can you send me your email address? I went, well, yes, it's as it is on my profile that you've just messaged me through. But I understand you're busy surfing around and probably not paying attention, so here it is again. And people connect, and you ask why have you connected, and they don't give you a reason, they don't respond, and it's sort of, you've gone the first hurdle and then stopped. And there's another 10 or 11 hurdles to the finishing line. You know?
And what would you say for those people? I find quite a lot of the businesses that we work with, they're really used to quite traditional methods of marketing and sales, and they're quite reluctant, I think, to get involved in social media because we're quite often speaking with the directors, so MD, sales directors of business, and they're often quite reluctant about social media.
Yeah, I think the simple answer is 20 years ago. I started my business coaching firm 15 years ago, and I met the odd person that goes, we don't really need a website. And if someone said that to you now, you'd think you're suicidal. And I think when people are saying, I don't need to embrace social media, and I separate LinkedIn from social media, as we talked about, but I don't need to embrace with it, are they suicidal right now? They're certainly missing massive opportunities.
Yeah.
And in another few years, it would almost be the same as websites. You don't come across anybody now really without a website.
Yeah.
So they're slow, they're laggards. And of course, the engineering industry is old.
Yeah.
I find it in other industries. I think they're missing opportunities and tricks.
Yeah.
I think also you've got to be open to change. We're in the fastest time of mankind.
Yeah.
It's swipe mentality.
And that was something that you said quite a few times, and I think it's such an important message, isn't it? How fast moving everything is at the moment.
Yeah, I think if they don't embrace it, they're going to get left behind. And you've seen today, just everybody in the room, the moment you check out your competition with what you know now after just 3 hours, most of your competition won't be doing it.
Yeah.
So let alone when you jump into it even further. So they'll be missing opportunities and they'll get left behind. And I think that's the same with anything about change. And I think we're in the most rapid time of change. So the question, the statement is the website analogy, or you've got to get your head out of the sand. You can't stand still in business. You know?
That's the thing, and if you don't understand something, the best way to start to understand it is by learning and doing. And certainly I found that. I think I could have quite easily sat there. Unfortunately, I met you last night and you did a short presentation last night, so I got to understand how much you do know about LinkedIn. But one of the key things that I've learned is just, it doesn't matter how much you think you know, there's always someone out there who's going to know more than you and you can learn from.
We're picking on engineers, but the MDs, those people that you talked about, the mantra is we don't know what we don't know. And when I set up in business 15 years ago, it didn't exist. LinkedIn was created in, I think, 2003, but it wasn't, it was created. Nobody was using it. There's 500 million profiles now. So it didn't exist. I was out there as a business coach and I'd got access to all sorts of marketing strategies, which you can probably double the number now with social media.
And I think the key thing with LinkedIn as well, it's been around for quite a while now in internet terms, relatively, but still very, very few people know how to use it properly, don't they?
Definitely. You've only seen, or I've only seen an explosion of users. In the UK, it's gone from 16 million to 25 million maybe in the last 4 years. So what
Which is most of the working population, isn't it? At least the management level population.
And if you think 15 years ago, there was 0. It took 11 years to get to, what did I say, 16 million. 16 million. And then another 4 years to get to 25 million. And that's the same globally.
Growth,
so it's massive change. So I think there's a danger that people think, it's been around a long time. And as you say, in internet terms and in business terms, it's not very long. And so what you can do with it now, most people are not doing. So I hear people go, it's too good to be true. People said that about the internet. People said that about everything. It's actually good enough to be true.
Well, you're proving it. You're proving it, aren't you, with hundreds of customers who are using it all day, every day, and getting great results out of it. So,
and I've got, you heard stories. I got my nephew who's now 21. When he was 18, he was getting in touch with the head of internship for Credit Suisse through LinkedIn.
It's amazing, isn't it?
From his mobile phone, sat at home in his mum's kitchen. So it's there to be had.
Fantastic opportunity. So thanks very much, Andy. It was a really great opportunity. What we'll do as well is we'll put a link to Andy's website. So if you want to get really good quality LinkedIn training from someone who really knows his onions, then please do look up Andy and probably connect with him on LinkedIn as well.
Definitely. Thanks.
Great stuff. Thanks very much.
So thanks very much, Andy Gwynn, for that quick interview. The key things that I've taken away from today, and particularly Chris's statement earlier about the importance of that personal profile, is just the huge power of LinkedIn. There's so much to it. It's a great way of communicating with a potential audience, and much more on their own terms, where they can check you out. And that really emphasizes the importance of putting the time and effort into your own personal profile and making sure that's as powerful as possible and make sure it communicates really effectively with your target audience. So please, if you are one of those people that are shying away from LinkedIn, not perhaps using it as much as they could be, invest the time, at least go and buy a good book, do some research online, and ideally perhaps invest in a training program. So that's what we got from this week. Anything else from your side, Chris?
That's it for now, I think.
Yeah, all good. So please keep up to date with us. Love to hear your comments below, and till next week.